Hi everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Oasis podcast. Today we have a great host. We have Kathryn Morea from REIA RICO. So I'm Félix Barreras with Lifeafar Capital.
Hi guys, I'm Crager with PR Consultants. We're missing a couple now, so we're missing Maiki, Paul, and we're missing Zachary, Postil.
Yeah.
But we've got Kathryn.
Yeah.
So
the show must go on.
Well, thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah. So Kathryn, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your move from California, and how you haven't been keeping busy at all in Puerto Rico.
just relaxed, right? You retired. You
that
live
was
on
the
ocean.
intention. So initially, I thought I would just come here, drink pina coladas, sit in the beautiful beaches in the Caribbean, and watch the beautiful aqua water lapping at my feet, and that would be good. And it was good for about
10
a week.
minutes? Yeah.
And then I saw the real estate, and you can't unsee it.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunities here are incredible. So, yeah. So now I'm busy.
I know. So tell us a little bit about what how did the journey to Puerto Rico start? How did you find Puerto Rico? I'm guessing taxes.
Taxes, yes. My journey to Puerto Rico actually started because I'd already decided I needed to break up with California. So what started was understanding after COVID. COVID changed a lot of things, and I had Airbnbs in California that were getting increasingly difficult to manage because different cities were outlawing them and banning them or restricting them. So then rent control statewide got passed and other things making business harder in California. And at some point, I went to North Carolina actually last summer in 2020. And in North Carolina, they were on the beach. You could actually go on the beach. And why that was so significant.
You were allowed to in California?
Because in California, you were not allowed to go on the beach.
Yeah.
4th of July, I'm watching people drinking beer and hanging out in the water and enjoying the celebration of America's independence. And yet I was living in a place where we couldn't celebrate it and we weren't allowed to get in the water. And you've never been allowed to drink beer on the beach in California in my lifetime. So I thought, wow, there are places in the United States where there are freedoms that I was no longer enjoying. So it really got me thinking that I needed a change. And I decided to move. I knew I needed to move. I didn't know where. Mm-hmm. But I knew it might have been North Carolina, and that was looking really good. But I knew I needed to get out of California. So that's kind of the thought process that got me started.
Gotcha. And how then do you come across Puerto Rico as an opportunity?
Yeah, so I worked with someone, Gary Johnston, who's one of my mentors, to formulate a list of what I wanted. And I was like, I'm going to have to 1031 and exchange out of property that I have, investment property where I have a lot of capital gains. And I'm going to have to find, a trailer park or a Section 8 house, apartment building or something so that I can replace the income I've been getting with Airbnbs with another asset and 1031. And now I have to go into different markets and figure out what market. And it was very overwhelming to me, honestly. I'm like, well, not only do I have to figure out where I want to live in my life, but I have to figure out how to recreate the income that I've been used to getting, because I'm not going to go get a job at this stage in my life, right? Like, how do I do this as an investor? And I happened to come to Puerto Rico for a tax class. Right, so my tax attorney, John Heyer, was having a tax class, and I came to Puerto Rico for a week just to go to the class. And I was in Old San Juan and, drinking some mojitos and having fun. I wasn't thinking I'm going to move to Puerto Rico. That was not what was happening at all. But I met a couple people that live in Puerto Rico, and there are a lot of investors who are in Puerto Rico, very smart people who are investing in Puerto Rico. And when I met them, I realized these are my people. I found my tribe, right? And then I said, well, let me go look at my list. Let me see what it looks like on my list that I'd made a month before while I was staying in North Carolina. And I was like, it has to have beaches, warm weather, has to have mountains, has to have lots of nightlife and places to eat, has to have a community of like-minded investors, has to have no banning of Airbnb and fairly business friendly and low or no taxes. And I'm like, oh, it's Puerto Rico. Like it is actually Puerto Rico. Like it's right here where I am right now. This is where I'm supposed to be.
Awesome.
So
that's amazing.
And I decided just like that. Went back home, sold everything, put my properties on the market, sold my car, got rid of my stuff, and moved here a year ago.
Wow. And surprisingly, that's not that uncommon, right? You say you're breaking up with California. I mean, we know dozens and dozens of people who have made the break from California.
We have all these WhatsApp chats on the island. WhatsApp is a very popular app for messaging people here. And, I'm in all these WhatsApp chats, and half the time it seems like people are writing from a 714 area code, a 213, a 310, and, any of these area codes from Southern California. So you're like, oh, here's another one. Here's another one that comes from, my backyard. So there are a lot of us now. I found that now that I'm here, I realize how many people from California have fled. And they're going everywhere. They're going to Texas. They're going to Florida. They're going to Arizona, or they're getting out of California en masse. But yes, some of them are ending up in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. And so then once you got here, you thought mojitos, but then pretty quickly you saw a need and you started an investor club.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I had when I moved here was, where's the local REIA, the Real Estate Investor Association? Where are the people that I can meet with, socialize with, get deals from, get contractors from, get investing opportunities. And then I was doing some private lending and some note investing, and I'm like, where do I get these people? This is, where I'm from. You go to these club meetings, and that's where you learn, who the players are and the resources. And so I was a member of a bunch of different clubs in Southern California. So I'm like, well, where are they? Where are they? Show me that in Puerto Rico. And it didn't really exist that I could find.
Right.
So in February, my son Zachary, who's co-host here, is missing right now, but he and I decided let's put this together. Let's start having a group of people who are investing in real estate so that we can share resources and, motivate each other and, figure out like who's the painter that you're using and, you got a loan for that property. Who's the lender you used?
Yeah.
Who's doing private money? All of those things that we know and need as real estate investors. And like, okay, let's put together a group. So that's how REIA RICO started.
Yeah, and it's going strong. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
I think once you became a part of the community, a lot of people started to realize that you were a doer. And so they were like, oh, we need to have this done. Let's ask Kathryn if she can manage that. Or, the REIA RICO, she'll do this.
In June, was it July? June, we had a bus tour.
Yeah.
So, a group came from OZ Works, which is the Opportunity Zone Works. It's a group of people that support each other with Opportunity Zone projects and funds. And REN, which is the Women's Real Estate Network, which I was part of in Southern California, but they're actually nationwide as well. And a group of them came, and so pretty soon I had a dozen people from this group, a dozen people from that group. So I rented a 55-seat air-conditioned motor coach, and we went to the other side of the island, and we toured projects in Rincon, Mayahuez, Cabo Rojo, and then we went swimming in the bioluminescent bay and sparkled and and came back after a marathon 17-hour journey. It was a little much, but everybody, we didn't have anyone revolt. So
I think that was a great trip. We got to see Félix's place. We went to a couple of the places that we have.
Yeah.
And, it was a fun time.
Yeah, and so, getting a chance to show people, because I'll go, right? Like you and I went on a little road trip when I first got to the island back in December, and I saw these cool projects, and the next person that came to the island to visit me, I said, oh, get in the car, I want to show you all these cool projects. Like, we'll just drive over and see all these projects. And then the next person that came to the island, I'm like, hey, get in the car. And I did that like 4 times.
Yeah.
And finally I'm
and
like,
it's an all-day trip to circle the island and to stop and see a few things. it's a long day.
Yeah, the
It's a
best you
long
might
drive.
be able to do that is like 14 hours if you don't stop and eat, maybe 12. But yeah, so
Yeah.
it is, because it's like 3 hours there and then another hour on that side of the coast. And yeah, and then if you stop and eat. But, there's some really cool projects that are on the other side of the island. So we rented the bus and, we're going to do it again. So in January, we're not going to do the Rincon other side of the island, but we are going to do the east side of the island. So we're going to do one day San Juan, and then one day we're going to do Luquillo, Ceiba, Naguabo, maybe Palmas. So we'll do the east side of the island. So we'll do a 2-day bus tour going back to San Juan each night, so people who are based in San Juan can stay.
I love that you do these trips. I have properties that we'll take people to. So
Yes.
I'm very grateful for that.
Yes, and you too.
Yeah,
You will
most definitely.
see
And even like you and I, since the bus trip, we've partnered with Ren on, you and I
Yes.
are buying the horror house.
Yes, in Miramar.
You want to tell them about that a little bit? And
Yeah, that's a great project. And these are the kind of projects that you've been able to acquire. And I was explaining this earlier today that, as an investor, when you come to a community, you might have the skills to acquire great deals immediately. And of course, there are a lot of great deals in Puerto Rico, so that helps. But it also helps when you know someone like you who has already spent 3 years cultivating the relationships with the agents who are doing the deals, cultivating the relationships with the banks that have the foreclosures, and already know how things work. And then you get deals brought to you that I'm maybe not getting brought to me.
yeah,
So you can close on a deal and get it deeply discounted and get an amazing deal on paper that works. And then I can look at that deal and go, these numbers work. And it's an easy decision for me. So when you got that deal, by Gusto's Coffee, where we used to have our breakfast meeting every
Yeah.
Saturday, I said, oh, I know the street, I know this neighborhood. I hadn't seen the property yet, but the numbers worked. So that deal is going to be a bed and breakfast. And it's 13 rooms. It's in Miramar, and we've raised almost all the capital for it.
yeah.
A lot of them are
We
coming
could
from
invite
California.
people in today. We've got a small portion if you.
Well, you might be too late by
Yeah.
the time this airs. So I don't know, but we'll have something else.
Yeah.
There's always more deals coming, but so a lot of that money is coming from California, from some of the REN investors and other people in California who have been hearing now what we're doing, and they're not getting those kind of returns in California.
Are they coming back for the next bus tour?
I at least know at least one of them is.
Oh, good.
I know
Well,
Deb is coming back,
good.
and I know Chris is coming back. So, yeah, there are people definitely
Yeah.
coming for the next bus tour. And we'll do another one in the summer to go back to the west side of the island. So
Yeah.
we'll do another one of them. I don't know whether we'll do overnight or just, a really long day and try to fit it all in. But we'll do the west side again in the summer, and, maybe more tours.
Well, if we
also.
do the summer, we'll have something in Rincon where we could do an overnight.
We can accommodate
And
people.
We could accommodate people.
Giving them a chance to do some surfing and Rincon.
Yeah, Felix's project may be further along by then too, and
Yeah, hopefully.
Um,
Yeah. I don't think we'll be hosting people at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe
a
closer
little bit. Maybe
to viewing
closer.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, so the bus tours have been fun, a great way to really showcase the opportunities here. But we also have, I think my favorite thing about the REIA RICO was Lance, one of our members, had the idea. I guess this is something that he was doing in Colorado, which is the Deal Makers Breakfast Club.
yeah,
So now this is actually my favorite thing about the REIA RICO event is we have every single Saturday. We start at
Right here on this
right
couch.
here at 7:30 in the morning. We have Deal Makers Breakfast Club, and we actually do deals
yeah,
in Deal Makers Breakfast Club. So a week ago yesterday, one of the agents that's been working with you for years brought a really good deal.
yep,
And he brought that deal to the club, to the people who were there in that room. There were a dozen of us that went and took a look at this property right after the Breakfast Club. We put in a verbal offer with the agent. The agent got a counter. We accepted the counter, and that property is now under contract, and we're going to have, a number of investors playing.
yeah. That one's really, really cool because it's an 8-unit. It's in an area that could be long-term rental or it could be hospitality. So we have
Right.
lots of options, and we're going to do something that's pretty cutting edge. We're going to put it on the blockchain, And
wow.
this is something that you and I started talking about
Yes.
when we were actually at Lance's property
in St. Lucia back in March.
Yep. So I'm really excited that that's going to happen. Like, just I know it's going to make a ton of money, but I don't even care. I just want to put it on the blockchain and prove that can happen and do that. You know, kind of prove that concept.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very exciting stuff. And that was from the whole thing comes from the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Raul comes with a great deal. I'd seen it 2 years ago and made an offer on it. So when he's bringing it back up, I'm remembering. Well,
what's funny about you too is you're sitting there going, "I'm not buying anything else."
Yes, I know.
I've already got enough deals to keep me busy for quite a while. And then he brings up this deal, and you recognized it, and you're like, "Yeah, that's a good deal." And then you're like getting approval. Was it Dave? Who was sitting there had to give you approval? And you're like,
I'm like, Dave,
I don't.
we said we're not going to buy anything, but
I can't resist this one. It's a good deal. He's like, okay. So
Yeah.
then we get like a group of people and we carpool and go over there, and it's 10, 15-minute drive, so it's close. And we see it. We walk the neighborhood. We see what's going on there. It's gentrifying. It's still, it's just south of Ponce de Leon, so it's not quite as good as, let's say, the whorehouse. It's not quite as a touristy area, but that's coming too.
it's really, so we know Raul has a building very close to it that he's renovating. There's another building that PR Consultants is involved in just up the block that has been renovated and is doing really well on Airbnb. And so we're seeing, the whole street is being turned around, if you will. And it was a tough street for a long time.
Yeah.
So now two blocks over is Cayacera, where they've done all the murals, and it's like Restaurant Row over there, Felix. You know that area.
Mm-hmm.
They did an amazing job of renovating, basically from like Juncos all the way to the lagoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from, I guess that's Santurce comes up through like Miramar and into the lagoon area.
Yeah.
On Cayacera, and so this is 2 blocks from that. So
Okay.
Just it's coming, and it's coming so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the changes. When I first stepped foot in Puerto Rico, with my suitcases, knowing I was going to, and then things were being told to me like, hey, you could buy this for this much. And I'm like, I don't know the market well enough to buy anything. When I first got here, it was a good, like 6 months, 8 months before I was actually making offers on properties and putting in letters of intent and doing things on my own. Because I wanted to get a feel for things. But in that amount of time, something's doubled in price already.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world because it's still a great deal, but there's been some
people
huge...
breaking up with California are coming here and raising the prices on everybody.
Oh, yes. It's all Californians'
That
fault.
happened with Utah when I was there too.
It's always California.
It's always California.
It's always California.
California.
But
California is so anti-business that you guys are fleeing there.
Yeah.
And then you sell your 1,000 square foot house for $1 million, and you come to an area like Utah and you can buy a 5,000 square foot house for $1 million that was $500,000 the year before.
Right. Because of all the Californians that just went there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. But the other thing is in Puerto Rico, there's the crypto community.
Yeah,
right. Which was, I'd heard of Bitcoin and crypto before coming to Puerto Rico, but in Puerto Rico, you almost need to own crypto just to maintain a social conversation with anyone that you meet at any meetup or event, or if you're going to hang out with other people in Puerto Rico, you're going to find other people who are investing in crypto, much more so than in real estate. Real estate's more of a niche.
Yeah.
It has to be like you and I both were real estate people before.
I would agree. There's way more people investing in crypto here. We're the crypto mecca.
Yes.
Right now, I'm not a crypto guy, but I have a Coinbase account, and
so do I.
And I'm doing it.
I got into
buying the dip. I'm buying the dip.
Yeah, well, I got into, you say that this week, but by the time this airs, it probably won't be a dip anymore because it's so volatile.
Lord
Crypto
willing,
is so volatile. But, the taxes here in Puerto Rico made it like a moth to a flame for crypto investors. Mm-hmm. So being able to be Act 22 or now Act 60 Individual Investor Act, you're able to not pay tax on capital gains, interest, and dividends. So, someone who's made $100,000 in Bitcoin who's going to have to pay tax on that, or made $1 million, or made more than that, as many of them did, there's there are billionaires here on the island,
Yeah.
you know? So when you realize that they can come here and be safe from paying tax on those gains in the future, it's not retroactive, then you've got this huge community of people. So it's really cool also because there are a lot of people who have done very well in business. They've become very successful and they came for Act 20 for the business tax decree, and they've got, you know, it could be anything. It could be a landscaping business that they're running remotely. I mean, people who are very successful who come to Puerto Rico means that when you go to events and network with people, you're networking with people who have already had a certain level of success.
Yes.
And even if they're not in real estate, they've accomplished certain things in their life.
And so that speaks to your group, the REIA. So I've been involved in REIAs in Florida, several of them, from Miami up to Jacksonville.
Okay.
And it's always a group of people. There's some that are doing some things. There's usually someone selling something. And then there's a group of people that are just like, what is this real estate investment thing? And they're trying to learn.
Right.
And your group's a little different than that in that it's kind of to your point. Every person that's in the room has done something pretty spectacular before they came here to Puerto Rico.
Right.
And so you're looking around the room and every guy is smarter than the last guy, and there is a group full of, I'd call them doers, like yourself. They're coming here and they're going to do stuff, and they have good ideas. They have been there, done that kind of attitude, and they see it. And then the collaboration that goes on is like,
It's fantastic.
I've never seen it. I've just never seen it, you know. And we've always told people that we like to partner with people, even ever since we got here day one. But it's just become this way of life in Puerto Rico. It's like everybody that you know is doing something with other people, and it's so cool.
It is, and I think for one thing, when you're dealing with successful people, people understand that you have to give.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, in Puerto Rico, being an Act 22/Act 60 individual investor, you're required by law as part of your decree to give $10,000 to a charity each year. And I think it also speaks to the mindset. People are already inclined to be thinking of giving. Yeah. And there are a lot of people that are here on the island that have had great success and have done very well for themselves financially, and they really want to give back.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing, you know, people who are creating charities, people who are really finding ways, whether it's, you know, the Boys and Girls Club, or, you know, there's so many people that just maybe because they got to a certain level where they really have it in their in their periphery to be like, you know what, I can now do something to give back to the community. So it's really cool because that is sort of the mindset of people more often than not here.
Right.
And it's not everyone, you know, like I've been in clubs where it's very competitive as opposed to collaborative.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've got a deal. I'm not going to tell you about my deal. I don't want to tell you the address of my deal. You know, this is my secret. And if I tell you, you might go take it. And, you know, we just don't really operate like that. Like we're all in a room saying, oh, you got a deal? You know, do you need partners? Do you need money? Like, let's go look at your deal. Let's tell you what we think of your deal. Maybe it's not a deal. And then we get you out of it before you even...
And you got like guys like Lance that he's done so many creative things. Like the deal structures that he comes up with are amazing. And he's willing to tell anybody, you know? So then the next person's feeling that way, you know? And it's just... It's
it is
cool,
really collaborative. And, you know, I was at a real estate club back, I think it was 2010. So this is like the height of all of the bank foreclosures, and, you know, there were a lot of deals. It was a beautiful time to be a flipper. And I remember I got this deal under contract. And it was in Glendale, for anyone who's watching who knows California. And it was like $220,000. And anyone who is in California right now is going to laugh because I'm sure you can't get into
$2.5 million.
Glendale for, you know, under $1 million something. Yeah. But had that house under contract. I went to this real estate club, like the Los Angeles REIA or something, and I went to the people running the club, and I said, hey, listen, I've got this wholesale deal. You know, here's some flyers. And I want it, you know, is it before or at the end of your meetings where you present like needs and wants? Like, I want to get on stage and tell people about this deal. And they said, oh, no, we don't do that at this club. Well, that's not what we do.
What do they do?
Well, what they did was they promoted some books and tapes selling CD, fast talk, and go get your credit card and run to the back of your room every single month.
Yeah.
It was this legal program and how to set up your LLC, and it was how to do wholesale deals, and every single month they had a new guru get on stage and sell them something for $1,000, and nobody was ever doing anything, and nobody was closing deals. But man, that club was making all kinds of money selling their little books and tapes every month. And I hated that. It gave me such a bad taste in my mouth, and I knew that when I started REIA RICO here in Puerto Rico, my group was not going to be about selling people stuff.
Yeah, it's hard for people to believe when they come there. I remember someone heckling Lance saying, "What are you selling?" He's up there just giving stuff away. He's saying, "Hey, I'll take you to coffee. Buy me a coffee." They're like, the guy's like, "I knew it. You want that coffee?"
He was looking for something, and we were all like, "Are we being heckled here by someone about a cup of coffee?" Yeah, I just don't think you could believe that it was,
It's funny though, and we're doing a charity thing through
Global Focus.
Through Global Focus and Dollar Zing.
Yes.
Right? So
the cool thing so we affiliated with Global Focus a little over a month ago. So Global Focus is a 501(c) and an 1101. 1101 is the Puerto Rican charity, and 501(c) is U.S. IRS charity. And because it qualifies as both, what this means is for the people in Puerto Rico that are Act 22, Act 60, that need to donate $10,000 a year as part of their decree, they can actually donate to Global Focus,
right.
And it qualifies them. So that's one aspect of it. And if you become an annual supporter of REIA RICO via Global Focus, we suggest $250 for a year of membership and support of our club, so you can go to all the meetings and the breakfast clubs and all that and get access to all the recordings. That is a tax deductible donation for the people who want to support us in that way. But on top of that, we're doing some really cool projects. So along with Dollar Zing, we have this park, Parque Libertad?
Parque Libertad. Is that
right?
Parque Libertad.
Yeah, like he said.
Parque Libertad.
And we're going to be rehabbing this park and cleaning up the trash and painting it and keeping it. I mean, and I say we. I'm like a very small part of this, but
we means Dollar Zing, really.
Yeah, Dollar Zing is really doing it as part of a charitable act, and so when they're ready for us to be involved, we will take a group of us and go volunteer and help out, because everyone wants to do something like that, right? It's fun when you get to go to a neighborhood and like make a difference and spend the day doing something with some trash bags and paintbrushes and be like, look what we could do. And that's the beautiful thing about Puerto Rico. So much of it needs to be cleaned up because of Hurricane Maria, and because of many people leaving the island over the last 20 years. There's a lot of sort of abandoned properties, and it's a jungle Caribbean environment, so things grow quickly here. So you have a place where it was barren after Hurricane Maria, and all the trees and greenery got windswept. Well, within 6 months, a year, now it's a jungle again. So there's a lot of places that need like a weed whacker taken to them.
That's right.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun project. It's coming up.
So in terms of comparing your, obviously having your experience in California versus Puerto Rico, the difference between Puerto Rican real estate and Californian real estate, where do you think that we are right now in terms of opportunities and in terms of the future of Puerto Rico?
Well, I'd say that it's kind of like 2010, 2011. Mm-hmm. It might even be closer to 2012. In other words, there's been some amount of investors who are playing the game and seeing how many how good the returns are, and so they're here and doing it. I don't think we're at the very beginning stage. Like probably 2018, 2019 was like, maybe that was like 2009.
Yeah.
And we're probably closer to like 2012. Like we're maturing more, but there's still a big upside to go in a bull market. Like we still have a lot of room to grow. And what I like to compare in California, and I think this is true of Florida where you're from, there are so many investors that are desperate for deals. There's a lot of capital. People have a lot of money. They've refied, they've had their property values increase, and they've been able to pull that money out in HELOCs, and it's very low interest rates and pretty liquid right now in a lot of the markets in the mainland. So they've got that money. They're like, oh, I took a HELOC out. I got $200,000. Let me go find a deal. And then they are fighting with everyone else who's in the same situation, and they're all looking after that one deal, and there's 50 people bidding it up to where there's just no room to make a profit. And so they're sitting on the sidelines, or they're taking a tiny, tiny profit, and the deals, it's hard to find them. Liquidity is easy. Here, it's the opposite. The deals are abundant. Liquidity is difficult.
Right.
It's hard to
There's
find.
not great lending mechanisms in place.
Yeah.
It's different, right?
Yeah.
So there's,
And until recently, there wasn't a lot of cash on the island. Post Morea, there's a lot of cash on the island.
well, we've got like the FEMA money coming in now, and a lot
Yeah.
of the things that got assigned after Maria were like held up in the red tape and different administrations, and so that's getting released. So we're getting money in programs that are allowing people to do things. But still, the sort of traditional like hard money lending like you had in LA, dime a dozen. You go to any real estate club and there's going to be, half a dozen to a dozen hard money lenders there going, we'll do it for 10%, we'll do it for 9%, we'll do it for 8% at 1 point, we'll do it for 7% and 3 point. They're fighting over the chance to give you money to do your fix and flip deal. And here we don't have that.
Right.
So there aren't any traditional hard money lenders that I'm aware of. There are a couple private lenders, individuals who are lending at very high rates, and still people will take it because it's better than not doing a deal at all, because the deal's still going to make so much money.
Well, the deal still has a lot of
room.
That's right.
So it makes sense to pay those margins. But yeah, that's liquidity. It's not as easy here. So if you can understand that and appreciate it and not be mad about it, but instead see it as an opportunity to, okay, great. Well, this is a different market. These are the constraints that we have. Okay, well, who can I partner with that has money?
Right.
Who else wants to be in a deal that has money? There's a lot of money in the mainland looking for deals, and here there's a lot of deals, so hopefully we can put some of that together. And we put like we did on the whorehouse.
Yeah,
The whorehouse.
with the Wren
Yeah,
group and Deborah, which is awesome.
yeah.
So
You guys want to clear up the name whorehouse?
no, we're gonna live into
so
it.
people,
We're
so people are not scared.
So anyone who doesn't know what this is, so
Yeah.
there is a street in Puerto Rico in Miramar, and I'm saying it wrong because I think it's Hoare.
Calle, would it be Calle Juárez?
Yeah, that.
Right? ¿Cómo?
¿Cómo tú lo dijiste?
Hoare.
Calle Juárez.
Oare.
Yeah.
Oare.
Juárez.
But
Best little RA house in all of Miramar.
as a gringa, I don't always get the pronunciations correct. So when we saw it, and it's just Hoare, in English that would be whore.
Yeah.
And that is how Google Maps says it as well. So,
So it's
really?
Google Maps'
Yeah.
fault.
Okay, it's Google Maps.
Google Maps would say every time we would take a right on Calle Hor, and that would be we'd be leaving Gusto's Coffee to go home. We were turning right on Calle Hor, and Linda and I started talking about how fun it would be to have a house on this street, so that we could tell everyone
We have
we have a house on this street, right? And it's strange how the universe works. We
Yeah,
were
you
talking
put it
about
out
that
there.
for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden this beautiful 3-story, 2 2-bedroom, 2-bath homes with a 2-bedroom, 2-bath on the top with lagoon views and 3 apartments in the back pops up. And it wasn't inexpensive. This is we're spending $700,000 something. It's an expensive house.
That's not
But
expensive.
it sits in an opportunity zone, and we get to put it into an Act 60 play and get 40%
tourism
tax credits back,
Tax
Yeah.
credits.
and it would cash flow anyway. So it's in
It's
a
gonna
really
cash flow
really good area.
insanely well. It's going
Yeah.
to cash flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we love that area. So
Yeah.
that's the whorehouse.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Could you guys clear it up?
yeah. That's
So we hope that one day you'll want to come and get a selfie at the Kai Whorehouse and stay with us at our bed and breakfast. Zachary, who's not here, he's usually a part of the podcast, is going to run it
Yes.
and live there in one of the apartments.
Yeah.
And it does go to how people collaborate here. Just doing deals together, and
Yeah.
trying to work together.
He's off at another deal right now that he's in with, a couple
Yeah.
other people, and
Yeah.
so I'm not in that deal. So he's off, doing that, and they're furnishing some of the Airbnb units, and, there's so much to be done here. That's why I'm not just drinking pina coladas. Although that's a beautiful idea. Someone said to me, I was like, I was just going to come here and drink pina coladas.
I mean, we've only known you for a little while. I just don't think that that's who you are. You
Once in a while.
seem to like to be busy.
Yeah.
Well, I do like being busy, but it's also, you can't unsee it, right? Like I said before, like when you've been in a market like the 2010, 2011 kind of market in California, and you saw how much money was to be made and how those deals were. Well, I was in the market in the 90s. And so I knew in 2010 when I was seeing prices that were sometimes as little as 10% of what they'd been 3 years before, like in the high deserts.
Time to buy.
The cash flow in California, like there was no way you couldn't see that stuff and ignore it. You're like, okay, I got to take, luckily I had some HELOC money and I was flipping like crazy because I knew it was good. It was like, how many can I buy? What else? Let's be in this market. And so I had a very hard time after about 2014, 15 in California. It was just like, oh, this is like feeling like a bubble, even though it's still been going up ever since.
Right.
It felt, I'm risk averse. It felt like a bubble to me for the last 6 years in California. And then you come here and you see the 1% rule. Right, the 1% rule. Well, here it's more like a 2.5% rule.
Yeah.
So there's just that right off the bat, and that you don't even add in the tax incentives. Don't even consider the tax incentives. Just think you've got a cash flowing property,
Right.
or an ARV. You can buy it for X, put so much money into it, sell it for X. Well, you just made a bunch of money. And if you did that twice a year, you'd be making a 40% return. Okay,
That's
this
right.
works.
Yeah.
So then you're like, well, am I going to just drink pina coladas and let everyone else have all this fun?
And it is fun. I think you enjoy it. I know that the sun comes up, I jump out of bed, and I just can't get enough of it. I'm off to see whatever the day brings, and there's always another part of the island to discover, and now we're four years in. Pretty soon we'll probably start to do fun things on the island, like go fishing.
Like bus tours?
The bus tours are very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could. Are you going to come with us, Felix, on the next bus tour?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Awesome.
Yeah,
January 10th and 11th.
I'll be there.
Okay.
And how can anyone, if they want to come, and maybe we could get this video out quickly so that we could let people know, because we do have a short window.
Yeah.
What's today? Today we're on the 5th of December.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do this bus tour the 10th of
January. Yes.
So just a month.
It'll be an Eventbrite. It will be on REIA RICO. And hopefully we'll have a link when you post this for the Eventbrite so people can buy tickets to go on the bus tour and make their reservations.
All right. And if you're coming from California or out of state and you need help,
we have Airbnbs around.
Yeah, we have some places that people could stay, or you can just go book a hotel somewhere. But
yeah. In fact, Zachary has Airbnbs. I've tentatively set up the bus tour to take off from the Vistas de San Juan, where his Airbnbs are. So in theory, if you booked one of those Airbnbs, you'd be at the exact venue where the bus is going to be picking people up each day.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee that'll stay that way, but that's tentatively what I've decided.
Okay,
And
and we've got other Airbnbs in the area too. So.
Exactly.
Something about that week that you're gonna do the activity, you're gonna have also the
Oh,
San Sebastian
yes.
Festival, right?
Right. So I'm not having it, but yeah. So the reason we chose those dates was, some of the other people who were coming were actually working with Invest Puerto Rico the following day. So it's Monday, January 10th, and Tuesday, January 11th are the bus tour. Then Wednesday, January 12th, Invest Puerto Rico is going to have some sort of event to welcome the investors.
With OC Works, right?
Yes,
Yep.
and give information, and I'm not sure what's all involved, but it will be a way for investors to plug in and find out more information about investing in Puerto Rico. And then Thursday, the 13th of January, is when the Festival de San Sebastian Street Fair and Street Festival in Old San Juan starts.
Yeah.
and continues through that weekend. So the idea is that if people want to come to see this festival, they come a little bit early and get to go on the bus tours and get to be part of InvestPR and learn about Puerto Rico before they've, maybe gotten wasted going to a street festival and had too much fun. So you can combine the whole thing and have an amazing week. And it's a tax write-off, I'm sure, for people who are investing in Puerto Rico to have a reason to book their tickets and write it off their taxes.
Yeah, and so anybody who's watching, if you want to come on that with us, it's going to be a great time.
Yes.
And
sure.
It'll be, if you're here on the island, it's easy for you. If you're off island,
Come
you
to
get
the
to come
island.
and check out Puerto Rico. 98% of it's an opportunity zone, so you might be into that. And otherwise, there's just phenomenal things to do here. It's a beautiful tropical island.
It's paradise.
It's paradise. I guess I was going to ask Baxter if he had anything to add, but he took off.
Yeah.
Nothing from Baxter.
Nothing from Baxter.
Well, okay, guys. So thank you very much, Kathryn, for
Thank you
joining
for inviting
us.
me.
It was great having you. Very
Thank you.
fun talking about all the deals and everything that's going on in Puerto Rico,
Yep.
and how
It's
you're
good
not
stuff.
keeping busy at all here.
Retired and
coladas.
relaxing
And,
time in Puerto Rico.
And yeah, we'll see you soon. We'll see you in the next podcast. Thank you.
All right.